This is George Strait on stage in Nashville on Friday night. I know you might have heard the show was rained out, but that actually happened the next day. We'll get to that and show you some pretty scary footage, but this is a video about George and Waylon Jennings with cameos from Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, Bob Wills, and more. Strait put on a clinic, and it was tremendous. I'm Addison Hager, and here's the set list for the show. Find a link to our review in the description section, but short version, it was 2 amazing hours of real country music, and Strait hasn't lost a step as he's gotten older. Thumbs up this video if you're loving how this man ages, and maybe tell us about your favorite George Strait concert below. This was it for us. He deviated from the set list he's been bringing to some other shows on his stadium tour to feature 7 cover songs. Yep, a full 20% of the show was Strait singing the men who helped shape his sound. A cover of Waylon Jennings' Way More Blues came first. This particular song is one he's played during the tour. It's nearly 50 years old and not necessarily one of the first Jennings songs a fan would name, which shows Strait's appreciation for that great catalog. There's more just like it, but first, please consider subscribing if you appreciate a country music YouTube channel that treats the legends right. That's us, and we dropped a video in the corner to prove it. This next cover song was our favorite from the night. Merle Haggard recorded Misery and Gin in 1980, and throughout his career, Strait has gone out of his way to pay tribute to him. Who quietly wishes his cover of Seashores of Old Mexico would have been a bigger hit in the early 2000s? It's so good, but in Nashville, he chose this timeless song. A few minutes later, he'd sing this Merle Haggard staple. The crowd loved it. Just before that, he'd bring Chris Stapleton on stage to sing a song that Merle recorded with Willie Nelson. Y'all see how this went down, don't you? Yeah, he mixed in as many #1 hits as he could into a 33-song, 2-hour-long show. But this was tribute night. That was George singing Johnny Cash in the encore, and that's not all that new for a George Strait show. I kind of love how he tries to impersonate Cash and Jennings a little bit. It makes it authentic. 2 Bob Wills songs, Take Me Back to Tulsa and Milk Cow Blues, were band features during a very strong Friday night concert. Sadly, the Saturday night crowd didn't get all of this. Thunderstorms shortened the concert and sent fans rushing to the exits. From the looks of it, George had a different show in mind for that audience anyways. We'll never know who he had planned to tribute. If you're a country fan who appreciates the US military, the second story will hit hard. Craig Morgan just re-enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserves as he was sworn in during a ceremony at the Grand Ole Opry. This was special.
I state your name.
I, Craig Morgan Greer,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
To support and defend.
to support and defend
The Constitution of the United States of America.
the Constitution of the United States of America.
If you recall, Craig served 17 years with the Army and Army Reserves, but left to pursue his country music dreams. He's 59 years old now, but he's back.
Help me God.
So help me God.
No, this isn't going to keep Craig from touring or releasing new music. Quote, I'm excited to once again serve my country and be all I can be. I hopes of encouraging others to be part of something greater than ourselves, Morgan says. Send a note of congratulations or gratitude to him in the comment section below. And finally, before we get to this week's featured interview, a tour update. Tim McGraw is going on tour with Carly Pearce in 2024. The standing room only tour begins in March and lasts through June, with tickets going on sale August 4th. You may recall that Tim has a new album called Standing Room Only dropping August 17th. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing. I'm Addison Hager, and I hope you enjoyed this interview from the Taste of Country studio. I dropped a link in the corner for more just like it.
In your career, were you ever strongly encouraged to record a certain song by your record label?
You know, you'd be surprised to know this. When I did a song called Renegades, Rebels, and Rogues on the Maverick soundtrack. And during that, it was I wanted to do it, but I got the label to agree to let me co-produce the record at the time. First time I'd been able to do that because James Stroud had done all my stuff up to then. And then for the next album, I kind of negotiated the same thing. Rick Blackburn wanted me to do a Bobby Braddock song called Texas Tornado, and I really didn't like it that much. And I said, okay, if you'll let me do a piece of the album and produce it, I'll do your song. So I wound up getting to do Texas Tornado, Any Fool Can See, and a duet called Hillbilly with a Heartache with John Anderson were the three things that I produced on I See It Now. So that's how I got started in producing my records.
Wow.
You came out of that one on top.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Was there ever a song that you didn't get to have your hands on, but you heard and you were like, "Dadgummit, I wish that was mine"?
Oh, 19-something, Mark Wills. I wish I'd have found it. Yeah. That was a good record. Really good, strong lyric. I think a lot of it.
So did it ever come across your desk, or is it just one that just didn't get to you ever?
Didn't get to me. No, didn't make its way to me. And he had a good record on it. Yeah. There's a few of those out there. Yeah.
Larry the Cable Guy makes an appearance, and you find out who your friends are video. Are there any like other odd friendships you've made over the past, like in your career?
You know, I've had access to a lot of people. Troy Aikman and I were real tight for a long time. I've met Brett Favre. I've hung out with Terry Bradshaw. Just a handful of actors and people out in L.A. Some pretty prominent people in the play world in New York. Got to hang out with Carrot Top. My goodness,
What was that like?
Oh, he's a trip, man. He's a piece of work. But it's and a lot of politicians over the years. I've met a lot of folks, not only in Tennessee but on the national level, a lot of other states. So I've had a pretty cool life.
Which of your new songs are like going over the best at live shows?
I was just looking at the streaming numbers over the weekend. Runaway Heart's been downloaded more off this album than any of the first two packages at this point. I was kind of surprised by that. Price of Fame's something that gets a good reaction. That one's working really well. Water is another one off the first record that's working really well. There's a handful of them. It's really hard to gauge, man. I'm having to look at the analytics from streaming platforms to try to gauge what's working, and I've never had to do that
So
before.
you do that to base your set list?
It does influence it, but I'm starting to see more people singing the words. This album just came out like Friday, and by Saturday, by yesterday, I was in Virginia last night. I'm already seeing people sing the words back to me, so they're on it already.
That's got to be a good feeling.
Are there any songs that at this point in your career you're kind of like tired of singing?
All of them. There's times that Sticks and Stones gets a little old, but I still love it. That was the first one. I've been doing that song for 30 years.
Wow.
A long time.
So
Yeah.